These horses have been dressed, as they call it, for the show ring.
That was a bit silly question, isn't it?
The tool of transport, to ride, but also to pull.
We have a tragedy and we've lost our bloodlines, we've lost our future.
This weekend at the Cotswold Farm Park, we're absolutely delighted to be hosting the Suffolk Punch Extravaganza, and it's going on behind me, as you can hear. We've got a whole array of Suffolk Punch horses being shown, being ridden, being driven in carts, but we've also got Percherons and Shires here. Nigel Oakley is a Suffolk aficionado. If you cut him in half like a slice of rock, you'd have Suffolk written inside, and he's narrating out in the ring. We've got a very esteemed judge here, Cherry, who's been working with Suffolks all her life, so they're showing the breeds here at the moment. These are any other breeds, so the Shire and the Percheron, and then the Suffolks will be coming in later. And then we've got some wonderful demonstrations as well. These horses have been dressed, as they call it, for the show ring. So they've got their plaits in their mane and in their tails. They'll be washed and have that beautiful sheen on their coats and look really smart. And then, of course, the handler too is dressed in smart clothing, tweed jacket, smart trousers, and so that the whole outfit looks really smart as it's trotting up and down the field. And of course, with the different breeds, there's different breed standards. Every breed of cattle, sheep, pig, horse, you name it in the country, has a breed standard. And the Shire would be quite different to the Percheron as it would to the Suffolk. And so the judge will be an expert and know these breed standards and will understand them when she's looking at the horse. So, Cherry, tell me, how did you get on judging that?
Well, the two Shires, they're two good Shires, but the one I put first, he just goes a little better. This one, is, for me, is a little too tight behind.
Okay, a little bit narrow in the back legs.
Well, yeah, and it doesn't go so well behind as this one does. Percheron's a lovely horse too, but he just isn't quite the standard of these ones.
No, sure. And how much do you know about Percherons in comparison to Shires and Suffolks?
We used to have Percherons when I was younger. I broke a lot of horses in, so we used to have Percherons, but we had the old English Percheron, which you can't seem to get now.
No, sure.
You know, really, which was very much like the Suffolk.
And Suffolk, Percheron or Shire, what would be your favourite? Having worked with them all?
No, that was a bit silly question, isn't it? No, well, I do like the Suffolks for work, I must say. But the Shires, they are lovely to drive around the towns.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, because they will trot and that, but the Suffolks for work and a wonderful horse. Yeah.
And how long have you been working with heavy horses?
It's near on 50 years.
Have you, what, since you were 10?
Don't think so, Adam. Don't think so.
Well done. Amazing. Thank you so much for giving up your time today.
Yes, that's lovely.
And I know you got hit by the bonnet of your car.
Yes, yeah.
You bruised
It's
yourself.
nothing very exciting though, is it?
Right, I'll leave you to your work. Thank you.
Thank you.
What the judge does, as the horses walk into the ring, she will watch them as they walk around. Mobility and motion is really important, as well as the makeup of the animal, the way they're framed in their bone structure, but also their muscle. And Cherry, the judge, will see them standing, and they have to stand nice and square and alert and look really smart. And then she'll ask them to walk away from her so she can see their back legs, and then they'll turn and walk towards her. And then she might ask them to trot as well. And then from all of her judgments of all the positions that the horses have been in over the next quarter of an hour, 20 minutes, she will then choose her first and second prize. All of the horses that have come here today will have won or taken part in shows all over the country. So Suffolk, Norfolk, Devon, Cornwall, you name it. And they're all very, very experienced handlers.
This is Moose. He's a 9-year-old Shire. His mate there who's pretty similar is an 8-year-old Troy. They reside in Wales. We've obviously come down to see you today.
Why do you do it? Because this is a great skill, a great art, but also quite expensive, bringing your lorry, looking after these enormous animals.
Well, it's very true. We've all got a screw loose, I think, really, in a lot of respects. But I love them. I can't give up on them, and they're like your kids, really. You know, you You work very hard to start. I didn't get into them until I was 45. I'd had some sort of midlife crisis, I think, and decided I needed a horse and ended up with 10. So, yeah, I had a good mentor, a guy called Nigel Oakley, who I met and we got on quite well with, and we're similar in how we think. But no, I keep Shires and Suffolks, so I'm crazier than most, I think.
Learning how to work with horses, but particularly drive them, is a dying art and quite a skill.
Well, I agree, and that's very challenging. These are they call them gentle giants, and they are, but everything gets upset. You have to try and find out what worries them, what might spook them, what their feelings are really, and trying to identify that. So when you get up on the high seat, if you have a look at the dray later, you can see a lot and you can see what's happened, but mostly their ears. You know, if you can watch what they're doing with their ears, if they're flat on their head, they're worried or they're concerned, or if they're twitching and listening. So you just get to learn how to read them.
It's like a person or like a dog, isn't it? You've all got different temperaments and you learn how to handle it.
Yeah. Well, it's like everything else. Early days, you've got to really be on top of them. You haven't got to be nasty to them, you haven't got to beat them, you haven't got to hurt them, but they've got to earn your respect, and they've got to respect you, because they weigh a ton each. And if you had 100 people hold them, if they didn't want to stand, they'd go. So if they knew their own strength, then it's like everything else. Not that it's a challenge, but they've got to learn to trust you. And if you're going to drive them into a particular area or whatever, they're trusting you as well.
Ness, thank you very much for coming along with your horses this weekend. Tell me, who have you got and what have you been up to?
This is Jay. He's a 13-year-old gelding, and then we've got Ernie on the other side. He's just 9. We've just done a driving talk today about how we get the horses as young as possible, and drumming all the voice commands just in a head collar, and then you move on to a bridle, then you introduce the harness, and then how you introduce them to shafts, and then basically get them driving for you. So,
how much work and effort and time does that take?
I want to know. Some horses take to it really quickly. I mean, Ernie was a really quick learner. Jay, I call him a bit of a gobby teenager, really. He thinks he knows better than you. He thinks he's been there and done it. So he tries to tell you how to do things, and you have to work around him to try and persuade him that actually you're going to do it this way. For instance, like when we used to put him on the pole for the first time, so this is your pole, you put him on, you'd hitch him on the front, and he just stepped sideways. And so you'd literally just pull the pole over, hitch him on, and say, oh, damn it, you've done it. And then he'd just drive for me.
Sure.
So it's working around them. You can't force them, they're too big. It's all time and patience, and it can take months, it can take weeks.
Why do you do it?
Why? I just fell in love with the breeze. I started to have ploughing lessons because I thought that was a good idea. And then went up to the Suffolk Spectacular, saw the Suffolks, and just thought, wow, the sheer power and the bulk of that muscle and everything. And I just thought, I want one. So I went to buy one and came home with 2, and then ended up with 4, and now we've got 6.
My word. And where's home?
Wantage, in Berkshire.
Yeah. Goodness me, so you've travelled a long way with them.
Yeah, not too bad. It's just over an hour for us. So
yeah, good.
Not too bad today, but we travel all over.
You're going around all the shows?
We're running the Heavy Horse Village at Newbury Show again for the 2nd time this year. So we'll have log-in demonstrations, harness, platting, vehicle displays. We're basically moving house into Newbury for the weekend.
Wow, incredible.
Yeah.
And wonderful to see you doing your talks in the arena. The public were just completely engaged, weren't they? Everybody really interested.
Yeah, they were. And when you're talking, you tend to watch the crowd and see what they're picking up on, and then you can sort of, express on that and just sort of keep people interested, really. But I think they are genuinely interested about, what we're doing with these to try and keep them going. And so we're doing a lot of nursing home stuff now, and Ernie in particular, and Ben over there, the big grey, very good with people with dementia and people in wheelchairs. So
these rare and native breeds need a purpose, and that's just one more thing they can be doing.
Yeah, it's just an area that we're moving into now. So next Sunday, we're taking the two of them to an event called Parallel in the Park, which is for all disabilities, where it's from tiny children to adults, whether it's with dementia or something like that, to show them how they can interact with the animals and how they can actually take part in carriage driving with our carriage. So we do nursing home visits. So the wheelchairs can be wheeled up into the ramp, onto the ramp and into the back of the carriage, or people with walking frames can actually walk up themselves, which gives them a little bit more independence. It just shows them that they can take part in things, really. So,
Wonderful.
And they absolutely love it because we can take them off-site. So they're going around to see things that they wouldn't normally see unless they were in a car. And of course, it's just a slower way of life. And they say, oh, look at that house and look at this and everything. And they just, it just engages them, really.
They love it, but it sounds like you do too.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, it can be quite emotional at times when you see them actually, especially with people with dementia. A particular job we do, a lady, they pushed her up into the wheelchair and they positioned her between the two seats on the carriage. So she was looking forward and I said, oh, hello. Absolutely nothing, complete blank expression. And I said, look, when you get her off, I said, wheel her straight around the front, put her right in front of Ernie, right under his nose. And she smiled, looked up and touched his face. And they said that's the first reaction they've had for a long time. So,
Wow.
Yeah, it can be quite emotional, actually.
Yeah, animals have that power, don't they?
They do, yes.
Yeah. Well, congratulations and thanks so much for bringing them along and putting on such a wonderful show.
It's been good, actually. Yeah, I think it's nice just to have so many Suffolks in one place. So
this is Nigel Oakley, who's a very good friend of mine and an expert when it comes to Suffolks. Lovely event today, Nigel.
Yeah, very, very pleased. We've got a lovely number of horses, 3 different breeds, and also the public. And the public are asking quite relevant questions, which I think's marvellous.
And you're a big champion of the Suffolk horse and the importance of people understanding why they, as a breed, are essential to be kept alive.
Yeah, well, I'm talking to the wrong man, to be honest, because you've done a splendid job through keeping more than equines alive. And if we lose our rare breed, they're called rare breeds, but most of our commercial breeds are descended from them. So if we have a tragedy and we've lost our bloodlines, we've lost our future.
Indeed. What's lovely with this event that you've helped organise and get all these horses here today is that the public are having a go, and here Katie with her horse that's pulling a log, the public are invited in to have a feel of what it's like driving a Suffolk horse.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried to explain to the public that the Suffolk horse is category 1, rare breeds, and needs any help it can get. And hopefully once they've handled one, they'll be more keen to support the breed. Not only the Suffolk breed, but rare breeds in general. And I think we don't get enough publicity for how crucial it is to maintain our bloodlines.
A lot of the rare and native breeds are animals that we either eat or use their products, milk and wool. But the horse, of course, is something that is totally different because we don't eat them, but they have to work in some way. And finding a job for a heavy horse is more difficult than a ridden horse.
Yeah, I mean, the generation of people that actually work the horse for a living has long gone. There are people who do genuine work, forestry work and so on, with the Suffolk horses and other breeds.
Like Katie.
Like Katie. In fact, Kate is a grand example. Because that horse had worked every day, it was obvious to the public that its abilities and that the liaison between Kate and the horse was something really special. If you notice, that horse knew every word she said to it.
Yeah.
There is a lot more understanding in nature than we appreciate.
So keeping these breeds alive, so looking particularly at the Suffolk, how do we promote the breed and get more people breeding them and keeping them?
To my mind, you're doing it this very moment. Yeah, I think bringing them forward to the public and explaining the problems and the benefits, because there is a benefit. People now rely on technology for everything, and to be truthful, there's more problems with mental health in this country now than there ever has been. And I think relaxing like these people are doing with a hobby, in other words, a hobby that involves some of our, not just rare breeds, but any breed. The dogs that come onto this site, you must appreciate, people get a lot of pleasure out of keeping a dog. Well, if they come here and see the horse, hopefully, even if they only do it a few times a year with someone else's, it will help them handle the situation that this world's in. Not the country, as a world, I think we're stressed.
Sure. And I have to agree, you know, spending time with all of my animals, particularly my dogs, and when you go up and stand next to one of my Suffolks or see a newly born foal, you know, it brings warmth to your heart. Lovely to see people all around the ring enjoying themselves. Thank you so much for everything you're doing.
Thank you for your cooperation and suggesting this as an option.
Previously, we've met Glenn and his beautiful pair of Shires. And now, look, they're in their finery, they're all tacked up, and Glenn is about to clamber into his beautiful bottle dray. So before the combustion engine, the lorry, these vehicles would have been used to cart goods all over the towns and the cities all over the UK. Shires, Suffolks and other heavy horses would have been used as the tool of transport, to ride but also to pull, agriculturally but also commercially in the towns. Sadly, of course, because of the combustion engine and the introduction of the lorry, they're no longer needed. A lot of the breweries around the country continued to use particularly Shires to showcase what they were doing at breweries, which is a wonderful thing, and that still happens today. And lovely to see them turned out with such beautiful animals.